y'all, and welcome to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, where I encourage you in healthy mind, body, and spirit through my Sunday reset. Let's get into it. What if your makeup bag is one of the biggest sources of toxins in your daily routine and you don't even realize it? Today, I'm joined by Emily Toups, founder of Toups & Co. Organics, and we're pulling back the curtain on the conventional beauty industry, the ingredients hiding behind words like fragrance, and why ancestral skincare might be the missing piece for healthier skin, balanced hormones, and true glow from the inside out. That's Toups and Co. Toups & Co. because you're going to want to look it up, and I will link it down in the show notes for you guys to get all her incredible products that I have been testing and loving and using, and then we talk about throughout this show. All right, y'all check it out. All right, girl gang, you just heard Emily's intro, and today is going to be such a fun-filled episode, so let's just get right into it. Emily, tell us a little bit first about who you are, how did you start this company, and we just had so much fun connecting that she lives just a few hours south of me in Fairhope, Alabama, so yay for that.
Yes, I'm Emily Toups. I'm the founder of Toups & Co. Organics. I'm a mother of 5 children whom we homeschool on our farm down here in Baldwin County, and I'm married to Trent, the love of my life, my soulmate. We met when I was 19 and we've been together ever since. So that's a little bit about me. And how we started Toups was after we were married, we had our first baby a couple of years later, and she had severe eczema, and it wasn't really something that I knew a lot about. And we lived a very standard American diet, right? I had her in the hospital, all the medications, all the things, and I breastfed her, but I was working and stopped very early, maybe like 4 or 5. By 6 months, I was done. I was giving her rice cereal. We were switching formulas to this, to that, like all the things, going to the pediatrician, and I just couldn't figure it out. You know, it was pretty severe. Pediatrician says, steroids, here's steroid cream. Never mentioned that maybe I shouldn't be feeding her a rice cereal or that it could be anything, other allergies. We explored milk allergies, dairy. We switched to a soy formula, which I could cry every time I think about it, and just went through all of your regular standard options until I think I got to the point where I was so fed up that I was like, there's got to be something else. There's got to be, another way. And so my mom was pretty, I guess you can say crunchy, right? Crunchy before it was crunchy. She had home births and she cooked at home, made meals for us. We didn't live on a farm or anything, but she would, grow some things in pots or around her house. Like she was trying, in the 80s and in the 90s. And I really very much am appreciative of that. But talking to her, she was like, what about food? What about diet? What about other things? And so I started doing some research, and I came across 2 things. One, I came across tallow, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to figure it out. And the other one was I came across Wise Traditions, or I came across the...
Can I help you? Yeah. Are you? So you guys, later on this season that you're going to hear, it's Holistic Hilda, who she is the spokesperson now for the Weston A. Price Foundation.
Yes.
And so she talks a lot about ancestral stuff. And I will also link back to a prior podcast episode where I had a physician come on and break down what all that meant, because it's a whole thing, which is incredible. But I'll throw it back to you now.
Yes, Weston A. Price. I came across Weston A. Price and that diet, and is very closely linked to the GAPS diet. And so I'm doing all this research, and she's 1 year old. She's very young. She's drinking out of a bottle. And we really decided to do a huge 180 in our life, throw everything away in the fridge, in the pantry, and like start at the bare basics from scratch. So I started making broth for her and feeding her broth and GAPS, like stage 1 diet type of foods, which is just boiled meats and vegetables that are easy to digest. And I started rendering tallow and making tallow bombs for her. And so during that time, I mean, I'm doing like this in our oven, in our kitchen, like they smell awful. I'm heating it too high. Like I'm doing all the things, but I'm really laser focused on like, how can we get this child better? And so I'm seeing some improvement in her. And then when we added in the tallow, and it's taking out the redness and that inflammation, but also her eczema was like weeping and it was like sticky and all of her creases everywhere. And just, I would put that on her and like put on cotton stockings and put her to the bed that way so that she wasn't making her legs bleed from scratching in the night. And it was such a revolutionary thing at the time. She's 15 now. So many years ago when people were not using tallow, I got a lot of pushback. Like, that's disgusting. Is it beef fat? Like, what are you putting on your skin? But I was so determined to heal her, from the inside and from the outside. And so started making these tallow bombs and sharing them. And they were a hit. So people were like, can I have one? And I have 5 sisters. I come from a really big family. So I'm like giving them to my sisters. I made them as the bridal shower favor for one of my younger sisters. And
that's awesome.
Our family, like, I remember sitting in the room, like next door to like the foyer where people were walking into my aunt's house for her bridal shower, and like listening to them picking up the favors and like reading tallow and talking about beef fat negatively, actually. And it didn't bother me at all because like people were learning about it and they were getting curious. Yeah. And so I started an Etsy shop and I started putting them on there as people kept asking me like, can I have one? And I was like, well, you can order it on Etsy from me. And I was kind of like making a little bit of side money doing that, because at the same time we bought 20 acres and decided to move to a farm. And we were like gung ho. Wow. We sold our house in the subdivision. We moved to this 20 acres. I tell people I bought a milk cow because we thought that she had a dairy allergy, but she was able to drink raw milk. And that was, you couldn't buy it. Then we couldn't find it. And so I bought a dairy cow, or put a deposit down on one before we even closed on our house. Like, I was so determined.
Commitment level 100. It's a funny
story now, it's so funny. My husband was like, you did what? And I was like, we'll figure it out together. And we did. We totally did. But that's kind of the very beginning story of how Toups was born. It wasn't really to start a company. It was just this quest for better health for her, for my daughter. And myself and my husband were dealing with issues as well. He is a war veteran and had really bad migraines from his time in the military. I was on thyroid medication and had, autoimmune issues. And so like we were all dealing with something. And I just felt like this move to the farm and like growing our food, raising our meat and our milk and eggs and things like that was going to be like the catalyst to the turnaround in our health. And it was a lot of work. We found out that it was a lot more work than we thought that it might be. And we were up for the challenge and we did it. But that is our origin story.
Oh, so powerful. I mean, I'm like, there's so many questions. I mean, I seriously feel like I could have a 2-hour interview with you, Emily, but I'm like, but I know I don't have that much time and you don't either. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty and we'll just go as quickly as we can so I can get as many questions in as I can to you.
Yeah.
So obviously, like you said that about your daughter, about how long would you say it took for her to turn around? So you started using the tallow. Was it pretty immediate? Was it like, tell us how quickly she turned around?
So as far as the skin weeping and eczema redness, tallow is an almost immediate anti-inflammatory, like on the skin. But for healing takes a long time. And I would say that we did gaps with her for a year before we saw her eczema completely gone. And the reason I'm really open to sharing that timeline is because people will do some changes and like, oh, I tried that. Like we did that for a whole month. And healing can take a lot longer than just a short amount of time. And we stuck at it because I was like, there's no way that I'm going back to steroids. There's no way that we're going back to Aquaphor. Like we are not going backwards. I know what that looks like. And, listening to Holistic Hilda and the Wise Traditions podcast really opened my eyes. I went to a Wise Traditions conference when she was young and listened to Sally Fallon talk about like how to nourish your infants. And by that time, I had a second child, maybe had a third on the way, I think. And so I was like, I'm going to do things differently with the other kids and I'm going to nourish them, in utero and then from birth correctly. And I didn't see any of those issues with them. They were
Wow.
much more robust. And so
Incredible. Love to hear that. Okay. And then what were you putting on your skin before you knew better? And then what was your like, the industry is lying to us breakthrough moment? Because you started to tell us, but I'm like, where was it like, whoa, this is actually for real?
Okay. To your first question, I was like drugstore makeup junkie, right? I had a purse, or I was a total, Maybelline and whatever I could get at CVS. Like it was just, that was my makeup bag, regular sunscreen, the whole deal. And so my like aha moment was we started watching documentaries on food and on personal care products. And my husband and I were doing it together, and we were so open and receptive. It's like we watched them at the right time. Cause I think years before, had we watched them, we'd be like, oh, yeah, but doesn't really matter. But it mattered to us then. And we watched those documentaries and we're just like, we're going to do different, like know better, do better. And today moving forward, like we're going to change. And it was a lot harder back then because there was a lot less access to cleaner products and even like laundry detergent and cleaning products, skincare products. Like there was a lot less. What you could get at the health food store is what people think of today as like what clean beauty is. Mm-hmm. But the clean beauty industry has just come an incredible way in the last decade.
Yeah, absolutely. So then one thing that you said, my husband is he's a cardiovascular nurse practitioner, but he's currently going back to school with Institute of Functional Medicine to get a new certification on more root cause type stuff. And so one of the first things that he learned was about doing a readiness to change assessment on your patients. And so I feel like even if you're listening to this podcast and you're not there at that readiness to change, like you were saying you would have been not at the right time, this is so much good information. It's like knowledge is always power. And even if you're like, that's not for me right now, just let this be like the slow drip that like you just change one little thing at a time. And Emily, if I can just put a quick plug in for Emily, I have been using her frankincense tallow balm as my like base layer at night before I go to bed. And then also in the morning, I'll dab it on some of my driest spots. But Emily, this is taking us slightly off topic and then I'll get us back on topic. As someone who's broken out since I was in high school and like really struggled with acne, been on the antibiotics, done the creams, like ultimately learned out a lot of it is, and I had Dr. Heather Finley on this podcast, so I'll link that back in the show notes. Y'all can listen to it. Found out my minerals were out of balance, and that's what was making my skin flare, like my zinc and all these things were off. Mm-hmm. But some of my research showed that tallow balm can be actually like make you break out more in some ways. So I got off of it for a while, and then I've just recently reintroduced it back. Can you talk to that myth a little bit? Is it a myth? Is it true?
I love to talk about this. Okay. So there are so many tallow balms now on the market. I mean, they're all over Amazon. They're everywhere. And I like to compare it to olive oil because everyone knows the differences in high quality olive oil and low quality olive oil. So olive oil that you're getting fresh pressed from Italy, right? Absolutely pure is going to have the highest amounts of all these fat soluble vitamins and fatty acids, right? Amazing. The Bertolli that you buy from Walmart is not even the same ingredient. It is not the same thing. It doesn't look the same, doesn't smell the same, doesn't taste the same. And the profile of it is wildly different than what a fresh pressed olive oil would be. So with tallow.
And one more thing can I say, because this is also true of tallow.
Yes.
And if you'll notice, usually the low quality olive oils are also in plastic bottles. Then they're transported across the country in plastic bottles, getting so hot in the back of a truck, leaching all those plastics and things into it.
Absolutely.
So that also goes for the tallow. So tune in.
Yes. And so our tallow is sourced right here in South Alabama. And these are from grass-fed farms. And people are like, oh, it's so difficult to find grass-fed. It's really not. In South Alabama, it doesn't snow, except for 2 years ago on a freak snow day. But the farmers, it is actually cheaper for them to grass feed their cows all year long, right? Because they can, right? We have green grass growing and we're growing rye all through winter. And so it's easily accessible for me to get 100% grass-fed beef sources here in South Alabama. And then we're cold rendering that. And what that means is that we only heat it to 180 degrees for, a certain period of time and have it render very long and very slow, and then triple filter it. No water's added, no salt, like all these a million ways that you can render tallow. We just do a dry render, low and slow. And that's preserving all the fat soluble vitamins, that conjugated linoleic acid, which is very anti-inflammatory. The fatty acids that are in the tallow is all preserved. And so we're rendering that here at Toups HQ in-house and filtering that and immediately using that in our tallow products. The tallow that you're getting is usually like on Amazon, for example, is imported from God knows where. It is from factory farm. These cows have never seen a blade of green grass in their life. And they're fed all GMO, soybean, corn, candy, leftover bread, whatever, right? That fat in that tallow and what Toups tallow is not the same. It's not even the same ingredient, right? It looks different. It smells different. I know because I am constantly looking at the newest, latest, greatest, whatever's coming out. I'm ordering it. I'm looking at it. I'm showing our staff because they're like, yes, it's not the same. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't smell the same. It's different color. Why is that? And I do that education internally so that they can make sure that we are at the standard that we want to be. But to go back to your original question, is that tallow is pore clogging. It is a different fatty acid profile. Like the chain is different. It is going to affect your skin in a completely different way. And the fat soluble vitamins are going to be way less. The fat that we're rendering at Toups is fresh. It is in the sun in South Alabama, eating grass all year long. And like they're selling this as grass-fed beef to consumers, USDA, and we're rendering the fat and also using it. So people are like, oh, it's how sad that they're slaughtering cows for tallow. That claim is so crazy because you can get about on a grass-fed cow, maybe 20 pounds of tallow per cow. They're not getting rid of the rest of the meat that is worth more, right? They're selling that to locals as grass-fed beef. And anyway, so that is a little bit of an explanation about the quality of the Toups tallow. And you'll see all of these board certified dermatologists mixing tallow. And I'm like, what tallow are you talking about? Like what, where did that study come from and what tallow did they use? I can promise you that it was not grass-fed, gorgeous rendered yellow, soft or cold rendered tallow.
Well, and it's just like what we always talk about on the show. It's like also always follow the money. Like, are these dermatologists making a lot of money by getting you to buy a real, like, affordable thing that is grown outside, like God's way? Or are they making a ton of money by selling you things with 50 bajillion ingredients that are paid off? And like, there's just so many rabbit holes we could go down from there. But reining us back in.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the top 3 ingredients women should immediately stop using?
So the first one that comes to mind always is fragrance, perfume, whatever you want to see it on a label, because there can be up to like 1,400 ingredients disguised under that word fragrance. And they're causing reproductive toxicity and just a host of hormonal disruptions and issues. And we're seeing such an incredible rise of hormone-related cancers and autoimmune disorders. And this is not by accident that we're surrounded by fragrance at every turn. I went into a grocery store earlier this week and just like, I guess because I normally, we live in a farm and we don't grocery shop a whole lot and we use Azure Standard for all the other things. I don't actually go in the grocery store that much. And I don't know if I was living in this bubble, but I went in and I was really surprised that I could smell the fragrance in everyone that I walked next to, not even just like the aisle of fragrance products in the store, but like people on their clothing. As I was like walking by, I was like, how do people live this way? When you live an unfragrance, unscented life, and then you're like exposed to a little bit of fragrance, like your body immediately is like, whoa, like has a huge reaction to it because it feels so foreign. But fragrance is at the top. Second after that is probably phthalates, which are in tons of like lotions and anything that is like emulsified. It's a plasticizer. It makes lotion feel silkier. It makes primer or liquid foundation go on smoother, but they're endocrine disruptors. They interfere with our hormones and definitely not something that I'd want to put on myself or our young girls that are coming up and they're wearing makeup younger and younger and younger. And these ingredients are in their products that they're marketed to on every social media platform, right? Mm-hmm. And the third one is aluminum, which is that's your deodorants, right? Aluminum is linked to health issues like Alzheimer's, kidney damage, other hormonal cancers like breast cancer and female hormonal cancers. And that probably is the one that I would say get rid of first is aluminum, because if you're going to go without like your skincare, you're going to not wear makeup today, but you're not going without deodorant normally, right? And so women are putting deodorant on sometimes twice a day, 365 days a year. And that toxin burden, that toxin load is built upon day after day and is probably one of the most harmful ingredients in our personal care products.
I will say I go to burn boot camp. It's a common conversation all the time in our group text about like, what's the newest natural deodorant that's working for you? I've tried this, I've tried that. It's not working. So tell everybody what it means to detox your pits. How do you make your natural deodorant work for you?
So when you're first switching and you've got years of buildup in your arm, in your pores and your armpits, it's going to take a little bit of transition time, right? And so I like to tell people, get a clay mask. It could be our clay mask that Toups sells. It could just be like a bag of bentonite clay or whatever you have. And you mix that with water and put that on your pits and let it dry. And do it often. As soon as you find your deodorant isn't working anymore, you do another clay mask on your pits, because it's going to help so much. Something else that helps a ton is drinking chlorophyll water. And so getting some chlorophyll drops and putting that in your water is going to help with body odor altogether. But something that natural deodorant is not is an antiperspirant. It never will be. And so we just have to get comfortable with our body's detox pathways, which is sweat. And it's actually great for you to be exercising and sweating and not trying to stop that, because that's where your toxins are coming out.
Well, and doesn't it make you laugh, Emily? It's like we're all doing these things like getting these vibration plates and the rebounders. You're seeing this all over Instagram, but yet we're putting on antiperspirant, the deodorant that is then blocking it in what we're trying to detox. So it's like, when you really think about that, you're like, what are we doing here? Yeah. What is your favorite deodorant scent that y'all carry right now?
I wear the unscented. Okay. I'm an unscented girly. And so our top seller of our extra strength deodorant, which is our deodorant that has baking soda, but it's naturally mined and really gentle, is the unscented. It's really shocking to me that the unscented is the top seller. But second to that is the lime and bergamot scent. Is second to that. It's really light, smells good. It doesn't linger. So it's not like you'll smell like lime and bergamot, at the end of the day. You're going to smell it when you're putting it on. It smells great, but it doesn't linger like an artificial fragrance would.
Okay. And I do want to quickly say that if you're like, that's great for you that you're not a fragrance girly, but I am, there are companies that make cleaner scents. So opt for something different. Like you can even use essential oils, or like my friend Jen from the Sister Studio, she has a company called Life and Lilac. Are you familiar with that, Emily?
I'm not.
Okay. But I have a whole set of her rollers that are knockoffs for different scents that are the most popular, and it's a cleaner option. So know that you can do the research and find something different.
Yes. And like our lavender deodorant is super popular and people love it. And it's probably one of the ones that smell a little longer.
Yes, love. Okay. How connected would you say our skincare is to hormones, fertility, and inflammation? And if people are hearing this and they're like, oh, but I love scents, like, how can they start to just change little by little? Like, what is one of the first things you change? You said deodorant. You said minimizing fragrances. But how bad is it?
I mean, okay, I just tell everyone like baby steps. You run out of something and then you rebuy that in a cleaner version. And that's going to do worlds better than just rebuying what you've always bought. You don't have to do what we did in, 2020, which is just throw literally every single thing away and start with nothing. That's really, we didn't have, 5 kids and a large family. Really impractical for a lot of people to do that. But like to take the next best step is kind of my suggestion. But when you're asking like, how important is it? I like to compare it to like medication patches, pain medication, nicotine in a patch. If you understand that you can take medicine through your skin, then how much more important is it that our skincare is doing the same thing? It's getting into our bloodstream in like 30 seconds once it's put on your skin.
30 seconds. Whoa.
30 seconds hitting the bloodstream. And so people think that like our skin is our biggest organ. It's like the barrier to our body. It's there to protect us from external things, but our body is absorbing the products that we put on at an alarming rate and directly into the bloodstream. So I argue that it's even more important because when we're eating things that aren't super clean, we have multiple detox pathways that are like stopping it from affecting our body. You know, if our detox pathways are working properly, when you're putting something on your skin, it's like direct line straight to the bloodstream. And so what we put on our body is really important. And I like to talk about children too, because it is even more of an issue with them. Like for these teens, like the EWG is saying that teens are using like almost 200 plus more chemicals than women our age, 40, because they're being marketed every latest TikTok trend. Have you seen these reels of these 9-year-olds going into Sephora and like buying hundreds of dollars of like for what? And it's because they're marketed to younger and younger. There was just something came out about this company that was like specifically marketing to children. It was a skincare company for children. And it was like starting at 6. And I'm so sad about it because they're getting chemicals into their body and affecting their fertility and their hormones younger and younger and younger. And it really is important that our skin equals full body health, right?
Yes.
And hormones, fertility, inflammation is so interconnected, and especially when we talk about our fertility. And this goes for men and women. And this, massive drop in fertility rates in the US is really alarming. And I think it has to do a lot with not just our food, but our personal care products, skincare and makeup, but even further into what we clean our home with, what we wash our clothes with, dryer sheets. I mean, we're bombarded from every corner with fragrances and hormone disruptors and toxins into like every facet of our life, where we sleep, the clothes we wear, what we, and so I don't say it to be fear mongering, because I really just want women to be aware, and like small changes do add up, just like using a product over, every single day for 365 days a year adds up. One small change adds up as well. And so just picking the next thing that runs out. And I know that you had asked about like ingredient lists, or like, how do you know? How can you flip something over and know if it's clean or it's not? And EWG is a really great resource. You can look up individual ingredients. There are some other apps that will scan the ingredient list and kind of like highlight the ones that are a problem. But really it comes down to like just education and knowing and taking it upon yourself to know what I choose to bring in my home.
Yes, absolutely. And I do want to say quickly there too, if you ever see the term like quote unquote natural flavors, do your research on that, because just like you were saying, with fragrance can cover a host of things underneath it. So can natural flavors, and it's probably not actually natural. So let's see, if someone is struggling with breakouts in their 30s and 40s, where do you tell them to start? And then on the flip side of that question, you said your daughter's 15. Is she struggling with acne? And if not, why do you think that is?
Yeah. So in the 30s and 40s, if you're struggling with your skin, I would drop everything and start over. Prioritize your skin microbiome first instead of stripping, because what conventional dermatology is going to say is like, you're struggling with your skin, let's get a salicylic acid face wash. And then it has sulfates in it. We're stripping every bit of oil off of our skin. And then we're using chemical exfoliants on top of that, right? To try to rebalance, but it doesn't actually rebalance. What it does is it unbalances the skin microbiome. And so what I would do is I would start with oil cleansing so that we're not stripping the skin, a honey mask so that we're feeding the skin microbiome. Our resurfacing mask has some gentle AHA fruit acids that do a really great job without stripping the skin. And then moisturizing like tallow. One of our biggest questions is, I have really oily skin. I don't want to put tallow on my skin. And from personal experience, I had very oily skin. And after using tallow for for a while, I noticed that my skin wasn't oily anymore. And it signals to the skin like there is enough oil here. We're not stripping it off. And it kind of balances that overproduction of oil. And so if I was in my 30s and 40s and I'm giving acne and breakout advice, I would drop it all. Less is more. Focus on the skin microbiome, and the skin will gently rebalance.
So good. And then what about your daughter? And like I hear all the time now from my friends, like my kid is breaking out, like they're wanting to put him on an antibiotic and now that we're going to do different or Accutane. Like, I'm like, no. So tell us why.
It's really hard to judge. She's not dealing with acne, but we prioritize like whole real foods in our home. We don't have hormone disruptors in our laundry, in our cleaning products, in our shampoos or body washes or any of that. So she's not bombarded in that way. And so I feel like she's got a really good detox pathways going on. They get plenty of sunlight and exercise outside, and they work physically. So they are sweating outside. And I haven't seen it yet. That doesn't mean that she won't ever deal with it. But I think prioritizing whole foods because their mineral balance is good. They're drinking raw milk. They're nourished from the inside out. And so they're less susceptible to dealing with imbalances like acne. I would call acne an imbalance in the body.
Okay, this is kind of like a rapid fire one-off question, but tell me quickly, what do your kids typically eat in a day?
For breakfast, we eat eggs almost every morning. I make freshly milled flour, and so I make a big bread with FMF, if you're familiar with that. So we have bread and eggs and some kind of meat or sausage for breakfast. For lunch, almost always beef or chicken. We have freezer full with whole grains like rice, always fruit. And then for supper, I've been on a soup kick, so I've been making like meatball soup and things like that. But our kids love ground beef, and we always have plenty of it because we raise cows. And so I'm always looking for ways to incorporate more ground beef in different ways into their diet. But we had chicken too, and we do occasionally eat fish, but we prioritize just a meat, a carb, and a veggie or fruit. And so carbs, we keep them to like potatoes and white rice pretty much. And whatever I can make with that. I'm usually like looking online, like ground beef recipes to see if I can think of something new, but
cool. Any snacks that they're like running out the door, they had to go somewhere like to a sports practice or whatever, and you throw them to take with them?
We eat beef sticks and boiled eggs and masa chips, which is this beef tallow corn chips, which we love. And that's kind of our, and bananas. I have my 6-year-old like loves bananas, and so I'll constantly have them because it's something quick and easy that he can eat running out the door.
Yes. I bet we go through 20 bananas a week in our household too. Same, my 7-year-old could eat 2 a day. I'm like, nah, just the 1 a day is good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What is the biggest lie on beauty labels right now?
So there's always this, like, there's clean beauty in Sephora, clean beauty in Ulta, like this clean, quote unquote, with like a green leaf is such a lie because I feel like there's nothing different in their clean beauty labels than anything else. It's still, fragrance is not even a consideration in like the clean label. And so all of it, right? I even went into Sephora to see on in their clean beauty, like what can I find that would be like, okay, if I just need to walk in and get just one thing. And I struggled because I'm like, well, are my standards too high? And like, I wouldn't use it, but like, would it be kind of okay? Could I recommend it? But no, because I do feel super strongly about imparting hormone disruptors onto our skin. And because whatever you use as a woman, your children will use, your nieces, nephews, like they're going to see what you are using and they're going to want it. Do you remember, if you have aunts, do you remember seeing your aunt or one of your older cousins? Like I would see the stuff on their bathroom counter when I was younger and I had a teenage older cousin and I wanted what she had. For sure. And that's how like we influence the younger generation to do well, is to, show them. And there's so many options now that are clean that they aren't mainstream clean.
Yeah. That's good to know. Okay. So I'm like, tell us right now, if they want to try one new product from Toups & Co. just to dip their toe in the water, what's the first thing they should buy?
It would be the frankincense tallow balm. It's like number 1, 10 out of 10 seller every day, all day. Our number 2 is our liquid foundation. I think it's so amazing and so great. It's aloe vera based, very clean, no fragrance. And those are my two top recommendations and my favorite products.
Okay, so I had to tell y'all this. One thing that I love about what Toups & Co. does with the foundation is you can buy this little, like, I'm going to say the wrong term, but sample kit where they send you a baggie, and their branding is also beautiful and so pretty. And it comes in this pretty little sachet bag, and it has all the different shades. You can try them on and see which one matches for you best. So I'm going to be honest, Emily, I had really low expectations because every time that I've done a like cleaner, more, mineral based or like better foundation, I was like, it's going to transfer on my clothes and it's going to be like everywhere and it's not going to stay all day. But y'all, when I tell you, it does. Like, I was shocked with the quality of the foundation. I sent in my the color that I need going into summer. And so I'm waiting to get in the full size, and I'm like anxiously waiting for it to get here. But
That's
I'm
awesome.
so impressed by the quality of what you've done with the foundation. So I'm like, what did it take to get that foundation and not be crap and be clean?
Yeah. I mean, so we really prioritize pigments. And so
Okay.
when you have good, clean pigments and you put them in a base that's dry and not oily, I think what most of the liquid foundations in the clean beauty space do is like it's an oil base, which doesn't quite dry and it does transfer, is we put it in an aloe vera base instead so that it can dry and just kind of like stick.
Yeah.
And it's kind of based off of the mineral foundation, which if you're a powder foundation girly, the mineral foundation is basically same as the liquid minus some of the aloe vera and the oils like that make it liquid.
Okay.
And that's it. Less is definitely more.
Yeah. I love it. So highly recommend if you want to check that out. Would you say that clean skincare can actually compete with medical grade brands?
So with medical grade brands, you have to use this like 10-step routine because you're stripping it off and then you have to put it back and then you're putting chemicals and then you have to put on something that's going to soothe the skin. And you've got to do this very long regimen. If you just want like clear skin and to look like your age and as like a human, then I say yes, because you're feeding the skin, right? We're feeding the skin with tallow, fat soluble vitamins. I only use Toups. Do I have wrinkles? Yes. Like, I mean, they're there. I've got some lines, but I'm almost 40. I have 5 children and I'm like, this is the lines of naturally smiling, right?
Yes.
I'm proud of them.
Her skin looks great, y'all.
Premature aging, which is like seeing that in your 20s, I think is a result of a lack of nutrition in your diet, chronically dehydrated, and then you're using this long list of medical grade, quote unquote, medical grade skincare to fix what is going on internally. And so eat your skincare, use natural skincare that's actually feeding the skin from the outside, and you're also feeding it from the inside. And that's how we should age.
Yeah, love it. You might have already answered this, but I want to make sure that it's very clear. If someone can only replace one product today, what should it be?
Deodorant. I know I said that earlier, but the aluminum's got to go. The fragrances under the armpits have got to go, especially in our youth. And so do like a whole family, deodorant toss. And it's a kind of lower cost item that you can replace quickly. You run out of them easily. And so, when it's gone, pick a non-toxic, better version.
Agree. So I've used clean deodorant for years now, and I was shocked when one of my panels came back and said that my aluminum was high. And so I just want to mention this to other people. If I use a non-tox and I still had that much aluminum in my body, like, think about how much more you're getting when day after day, like you said, Emily, you're putting that on. I think that what mine was, and I don't know why I didn't think about it. I feel like such an idiot, but I'm going to say it out loud because I feel like it only helps other people too. My husband grills meat all the time. Like, I would say we eat grilled meat like 3 and 4 times a week at least. And every time he was putting aluminum foil over the meat to keep it warm while we finished getting everybody's plates ready to eat. And so that was when my practitioner told me this. I was like, duh. He was like, well, think about it. Literally, the meat is like heating up the aluminum and it's like trapped in there. And so you're basically baking that meat in the aluminum 3 and 4 times a week and ingesting it continually. And I was like, oh my gosh. Duh. Like, when you say it out loud, I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
But I just hadn't thought about it. I don't know why. So anyway, there's that. Side tip. Why do you think mainstream beauty doesn't want women asking questions like these? Like, what is the danger to them?
I mean, it's relatively cheap and highly profitable to manufacture with low quality ingredients, period. Right? They're able to make these ingredients in a lab very, very cheap. And when things start affecting profit margins, they don't want you asking questions.
Absolutely. Is the FDA protecting us in the skincare space or no?
That's a really great question. I'm going to say no, but I'm also going to follow up with a caveat that it's not the government's job to protect us, that we have free will to purchase what we will or not. But on that same note, the European Union has banned thousands and thousands of ingredients that are currently being used in U.S. cosmetics. And, as a self-manufacturer and us manufacturing our products ourselves, and the hoops that we have to jump through with the FDA is sad, because what it does is it stops new people like myself from starting their own skincare companies. And you'll see a million of them on Instagram that are starting just now, but the new MOCRA laws with the FDA will get them shut down. And so if you don't have the money to jump through the hoops and do what the FDA said is regulatory, then you really, even now in 2026, you can't sell skincare. And when I first started, that wasn't the case. MOCRA laws were not enacted. So there was no laws, and I could just make whatever in my kitchen and sell it online, and it was fine. I couldn't get shut down, but now you can. And so it's like kind of a double-edged sword. We want the FDA to ban these ingredients, right, so that they're more public health, but at the same time, giving the FDA more governing power over the skincare manufacturers and small ones like myself, or holding small manufacturers to the same standards as large ones, is preventing the next greatest idea that someone might come up with this year, a mom in her kitchen who wants to sell skincare, that it'll never come to the light because of these laws. So,
wow,
I've got conflicting, thoughts on that.
For sure. And in case people want to research that after the fact, will you spell MOCRA?
It's MOCRA.
Okay, cool. What is something that women are overdoing that's wrecking their skin?
I mean, we're stripping our skin and then using chemical exfoliants. Everybody wants to get rid of your brown spots and bleach them off your face and disrupt your microbiome, but it's disrupting our skin in such a way that I think it's damaging to the skin, causing premature aging, number one, and two, causing breakouts and just a disbalance in the skin. And so still totally a believer that less is more, and that what we eat influences how our skin looks, influences if we have sunspots or not. And that's a highly controversial take, but eating seed oils and baking in the sun is going to give you sunspots. And so
if not skin cancer with your with your fake sunscreen on, that's making it worse. So yeah.
So 100%.
All the things. Emily, is there anything that you would recommend if you go into a dermatologist as far as like anti-aging? Like, I know everybody talks about obviously like how bad Botox is, but like, what is your take on doing like the skin pen or things that help your body produce more collagen? What would you recommend, if anything, that's a laser or any kind of thing like that?
So I haven't done any of them myself, but I'm not opposed to lasering off, like, I think it's called IPL, the laser. It's like a lighter laser that's getting rid of some of the sunspots and things that can turn into cancer. I'm not opposed to that. Skin pen, which I think is just like microneedling, depending what they're microneedling into your skin. So whatever serums or products that they're using, but microneedling itself, I don't really have an issue with. I know that it's damaging the skin to cause more collagen production. And so I don't, I guess I don't have enough information to really recommend it, because like, how long can you do that to your skin and injure and then build collagen before, it's not natural and there's an issue? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. What are you a fan or not a fan of hyaluronic acid? Because I know when I got a skin pen last time, they were like, we're going to use HIA to like put in with the skin pen. And I was kind of like, okay, I don't really know what that means, but okay.
Yeah. No, hyaluronic acid is great. It's a humectant. Okay. It brings water back into the skin and makes the skin look more plump and hydrated. So totally a fan. Just depends on what else. It's not just hyaluronic acid because it's a powder. What is it mixed in?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so Emily, tell everybody one more time about where they can find you online, how they can connect with you. Is there anything that you wish people knew about Toups & Co. that isn't like, you where you feel like when you talk to people are like, I wish they knew this about us?
So Toups & Co. is we're just owned by my family. We don't have anyone to answer to. We make all the decisions, and our decisions are, if it's not good for us, it's not good for our family, then it's not good for you. And we use ourselves as the testing ground for anything that we release. I have five sisters, or six of us, and four of us work at Toups. We work together in different areas. We just did a really fun post on like the four sisters that work at Toups, and really it continues to hold us to high standard, right? Because I'm not just making decisions and like employees that don't know me are working for me. Like my family's working for me, and they're super crunchy too. And so they'll like question a new ingredient and be like, what is that? You know, what is it derived from? Where'd you get it? You know, what's all the information? And I think it's just different than other skincare companies. You know, our intent is to produce the highest quality working products with the best ingredients. And so you can find us online, toupsandco.com, and all of our socials, and our customer service is very responsive and to any questions that you might have about your skin or recommendations. So always feel free to reach out.
And Emily, I don't feel like we've done a good job yet of saying what all you do. So we mentioned that you have skincare. We mentioned that you have the deodorant. We mentioned now that you have had the foundation, but I don't feel like we really gave a full expanse of what all you have on your website. So give everybody a little bit of background on that too.
Yeah, we've got all the Tallow bombs, but full skincare, masks, serums. Love the reparative serum. It's like my second favorite product. It uses bakuchi oil instead of retinol, which is nature's form of retinol that we use. And it's really great for like our age that want something a little more. And then we have a full color cosmetics line as well, from foundations, lipsticks, mascara,
I'm wearing the lipstick today.
Eyeliner, lip glosses, you name it, it's there. So I kind of just want it to be this like one-stop shop, that when you find somewhere that you trust, that you can trust that not just one or two of the products that we produce are clean and good, but like every product that we produce is safe.
That's amazing. Emily, I'm going to close asking you the question that I ask everybody, which is, how do you personally reset?
Well, how do I personally reset? It's really important for me to reset because I live an incredibly busy life running Toups with 5 kids at homeschool, and we have a farm. And so just getting out in nature, I like to take a walk around the property when the sun's going down, or sometimes in the morning if the weather's good, with like no music, no podcasts, just the stillness, quiet. Yeah. So walking in nature.
Yes, I would say that is what at least 40% of guests say, is walking outside in nature. And I couldn't agree more. It's so good. I'm like, this is just a bonus question. You guys, it's like, that was the meat of the show. I'm just personally curious, Emily, what are some of the books that you read in the beginning when you moved? Because she used to live in Birmingham, she was telling me, when you moved to Fairhope and you got your farm and you were like, okay, I want to learn more about like herbs and, natural living and ancestral living. What are some of the books that you'd recommend for us to get started with?
Okay, so I probably won't remember the exact book titles, but I can tell you the author. So I've pretty much read everything that Joel Salatin has written. I also follow White Oak Pastures and Will, everything that he puts out, like all this information. I love Carbon Cowboys and about capturing carbon in the soil, and how really we're soil farmers, not animal farmers, is kind of the mantra here at the Toups farm, that we're building soil, because the healthier the soil is, the healthier our plants will be. Our grass, we're grass farmers because our cows are eating grass that have adequate minerals. They're going to have adequate minerals as well. Absolutely love Morley Robbins. And so his book, it's called The Cure for Fatigue, I believe is the name of his book. Absolutely incredible. And then, of course, anything that Sally Fallon and Wise Traditions and her Nourishing Traditions book, obviously, is a 10 out of 10. Those are kind of like the beginning of understanding the blocks that health is built on.
Yes.
Nourishing our bodies, healthy soil, why it matters, the meat that we eat, and how we grow plants. And, when you have a basic understanding of all of that together, it's really simple. And it's just understanding that the Lord created these ways in this carbon cycle. And if we just follow like what nature does, and we don't try to artificially change it for more production, we actually do get more production. All regenerative farming is based around the natural flow of animals, right? So rotationally grazing and building soil and them bringing up this ancient seabed. So if you're interested in any of that, really good reads.
Well, and you have reminded me too. I'm going to link back in the show notes also because I interviewed Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe separately, and both of them are really big into regenerative farming and why it's important. And I actually took Jordan Rubin's Christian health coach certification, and I cannot even begin to tell you how much I learned about all of it and why the beef that we eat matters and how it's farmed, and not only, if possible, to be grass-fed, but also grass-finished. So if you want to nerd out on some of those things, I'll link the books that she did in my Amazon podcast list, and I'll also link to those podcast episodes so y'all can get more information. But Emily, what a joy. Thank you for doing what you do. You are truly a mom that's living out what God's purpose is for you and your life, and you're being such a blessing to so many people. I mean, nationwide and probably worldwide. I mean, and Emily, one thing that I don't feel like I did a good job of talking about yet is just how popular your brand has grown. Like, y'all, this is silly, but she literally was like on Whitney that used to be on the Hills podcast. Like, the amount of products that they sell nationwide is insane. She has had such incredible growth. And I think it's such an obvious testament to the Lord blessing your business and blessing what you're doing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather.
Of course. Have an awesome day. And Girl Gang, tune in, tag us, let us know what you thought about this episode, what questions came up from it. Make sure you tag us on Instagram, share it, and we will see you next Tuesday. Have an awesome day. Y'all know I'm obsessed with all things optimal health, as clearly evidenced here on the podcast. Well, let me tell you about a new company and supplement line that I feel is truly going to change the face of not only our health, but also aging. Enter the crazy and amazing world of peptides. I know you've heard a ton about pharmaceutical kinds, the Ozempics, the Wegovy's of the world, all kinds of crazy with the results that people are getting, but also scary in regards to the possible side effects. What if we could get the same results with a peptide that was made in nature instead of a lab? That's where Make Wellness comes in and their line of bioactive precision peptides. You want to be leaner? You want to be fitter? Want to be more hydrated, more energized, focused, all of the above? I am literally obsessed with these, you guys, and I know you will be too. This is the future of where health is headed. Everything is linked in the show notes, so make sure to check them out. I think you're going to be just as obsessed as I am. Okay, friend, that's a wrap on this week's episode. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories, and tag @Healthy by Heather Brown so I can connect with you in my DMs. It truly brings me so much joy to see how these episodes impact you. Make sure to subscribe so we can see you back here next Tuesday for our weekly show. In case you don't know, your downloads, ratings, and reviews are the actual lifeblood of this podcast, and it helps spread the word to your friends and family. So please hit the download button on this episode and leave a 5-star rating if you super loved it. And if we're really BFFs, you'll spread the happy and text this podcast link to someone who needs to hear it today for some encouragement. Scroll down to the show notes on this episode to see any and all links mentioned, freebies to fuel your health goals, prior-related episodes, and the 7-day free trial of my exclusive membership where I personally coach and cheer you on in whole health. While you're there, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront with healthy snacks, my favorite look for less workout outfits, and books and devotionals that challenge me in my faith. If you ever need to find my Amazon storefront, just Google Healthy by Heather Brown Amazon and it will come up. Have a great day, Girl Gang.